What is up, good people? Crypto Prepper here. Today is Monday, April 6th, 2026. And today we're starting out on the coin market cap and looking at a fear and greed index of 39. Popped up quite a bit since the last time we looked at that. And today we're going to focus on finding the best bot for the best XRP trading bot for 2026. So let's get to that. But before I guess we get to that, never mind. So I was going to show you the API issue that I was having with Kraken that's been on and off the past few weeks, but most of the time it's temporary and it fixes itself. So anyway, if you have any issues with that, Bitscap trading, the Bitscap software support team is pretty good about getting back and helping out with figuring out issues like that. So let's find the best XRP trading bot for 2026. So what we've got here is let's talk about this back test first, and then we'll talk about the settings that gave me this back test. So I've got a 365-day back test. It gives me an 18% APY. I have the continuation with these limit orders underneath. That's the second thing that I really like to see. And then the third is I look for gaps of activity. So here we have from middle of August until early October before we saw any activity with these settings in this bot, and that can get a little boring. Um, but like I always talk about, you're not going to keep all your eggs in one basket, and you're going to set up um, hopefully multiple bots using different settings, different pairings, different exchanges. Um, once you're comfortable with putting real money in here. So we start out with 1,000, like always. As you can see, I'm going to go through these settings pretty fast because I try to go through these settings every single video to show you. Um, and we have the 3125, 968.75, which adding those two up equals 1,000. You can crank that up to 5,000 if you want. But like I said, I'm not going to keep all my eggs in one basket. So I'm going to set up multiple bots to catch all the the ranges. So this one helped in this weird 2025, the first quarter of 2026 uh, market where we've had a capitulation in October that most of the bot settings really did well with that. But then once we got to this February one, that's where a lot of them fell out of range. So, um, if you're following the market on a daily basis, and listening to people like Blockchain Backer, when you see this range between this 160 and 175 break, you know, right here about February 2nd, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll go ahead and cut my loss on some of these settings and just start over, and catch the next dip. But I don't expect most people to do that, so I want to show you how to set up multiple bots to, you know, optimize your gains, whether we're in a bull or bear market. So we've obviously been in a bear market here. Uh, some people can argue back until January of 2025. Some people say not since October when Bitcoin and Ethereum hit their all-time highs, or here in this case, January or July 18th ish area for XRP for its all-time high. Okay, so our mountain multiplier is X2. I skipped over it. The averaging order step percentage is at 9%. So that's the distance between these lines. Our take profits at 5, and our pump dump protection's off. And you can see I didn't change any settings, and that gives us that 18% APY. So that's pretty good, but I wanted to try to get better. And in these next couple cases, I don't have the continuation that I saw in that other bot where it still has those orders placed to protect you on either side, on up or down. But in this one, it's going to have to increase. I don't know if that. Yeah, it's going to have to increase 40, 50% for you to take profit, for this bot to take profit, um, based on these settings. The initial one I had, the way I had this set up is I was showing where if you set this bot up a year ago with $1,000, it is fully vested now. And at this point, you have about $780 worth of XRP, but you have $338 in your USDC wallet. So if you sold those XRP and got that 780, you're still up about $100, 10% over what you were a year ago. So that's pretty good, but you may not want to sell your XRP at this point at these lows because I don't know how much lower we're gonna go. But so it doesn't work out to actual if you were to close out this bot and liquidate the XRP, you're probably only up 10%. But if you just you're buying and holding that XRP now, and once it pops back up, then it's going to take profit and reset itself. So you can just leave it as is and set up another bot with different settings. And I think that I don't remember if I went through the settings on this. So 4.5 on that. So on the original one, they got 18%. That was 9. And the averaging order step percentage here is 4.5. So I know I'm going through this pretty fast, but I kind of explain um, this in most videos a lot slower. And if this is too fast, just let me know. But that one's 33% APY. And then um, I played around here. Let's make sure my back test is set at 365 day before I forget. I wanted to try to maximize that even more and see if I could beat that 33%. So what I did was I found 4% actually gave me, I think it was a 42.6, yeah, 42.63% APY. But just like that last example, it hasn't had any activity since late January. And buying and holding at this position, you're down 31%. You still have $720 worth of or $780 worth of XRP, about that much, and $426 in your USDC wallet. Plus, once it gets back up here, it's gonna continue on and do its thing. So, then I tried our standard. What I usually start out uh, when I run these back tests is I start out with an averaging orders step percentage of 5%. Everything else is the same. So the number is 5. So you have 5 limit orders, double each line, which is what this X2 does. Take profit 5% and pump down protection off. So I looked at the back test for this, and you saw earlier it's a little less than the other options, 27%. So, and then just like the others, it basically fell out of range late January and hasn't had any activity since then. So, um, what I like to do, what I do to protect myself from, at this point, I don't foresee us dropping another 50% like we did over the last year. Let's see if I'm doing that math right. I know at one point it might have been 50, 60%. Let's see. So I'll pop over here. If you take the all-time high of January, yeah, so we're down 62%. So I don't think we're going to fall another 62%. Let's do another one of these. Because a 62% drop would be down to 50 cents. So, nothing's out of the question in crypto, but I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. But you could, like, even if using these settings, if you use these settings today, that is going to protect you down to 73 with this. What settings did I put here? 9%. So, you could set up a bot at 9%. That would protect you all the way down to 74% or 74 cents. And then have it go, what was the lowest one here? 4%, which would protect you down to a buck oh seven. And then I think it was 4% that gave me the best looking back test for the timeline. I think I just did between October, or not October, April, whatever a year ago was, April 6th, April 7th, 2025 to October 5th, because that's what I was looking at with the past couple pairs that I did with Ethereum and Bitcoin. I ran the 6 month before and the 6 month after, or the 6 month before to try to calculate the optimal settings for a bull run. So that's 183 days, and that 4% distance between those limit orders. Um, if you were to stop, if you were to just look at it from, and let's scroll this over. So you're looking at it from here to here. So 6 months, you've made 22% return, and you've got a lot of activity on this. And then as you can see, it still has a continuation. But as we saw from the the 365-day back test, is um, it stopped performing. Oops. So it stopped accumulating in late January. So, excuse me, that 4% averaging order step percent gave me the better return between April 6th and October 5th than most of the other settings. Because you can see here, I think I tried 3.5, and let's see if going having a tighter range would help you get a better return or not. So it gave you a little bit better return, but I think the reason I did not um, choose this over 4 is this pretty good gap between May and July. So it went June into July. So I guess it was only a month. So you could set up a range of bots and stagger your averaging order step percent, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, so on and so on, even going up as high as 9. Um, just depends on how much capital you have, and if you have the base. I'm going to switch over to the pricing here, and so white screen. But even with this basic entry level tier for this software, you can set up 10 DCA bots and 3 grid bots. Oh, and I haven't talked about the grid bots yet. So stick around for that. But and that can be gotten for as low as 23 bucks a month. So even just having one of these bots would pay for that entire year. Um, and then you'd have 9 other bots that would basically be pure profit for you. And then that's not even including the grid bots that you can put. So what I did was I set up a grid bot similar to the what I've done the past couple times with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I went back to April 6th of 2025, a year ago, and I took my measured uh my price percentage change, and I went in the middle of this candle here, measured up 50% and measured down about 50%. And then I drug these little high price, low price things so that my highest sell order was here and my lowest buy order match down here with this arrow. And then doing the other thing I did too, because this defaults at 100 grid levels. So then it puts in 100 limit orders. And with $1,000 investment, that's only 10 per limit orders. And you can see how this does affect the back test on the 365-day back test. So 17.5%, which is still pretty good, obviously. Um, but then when I popped that down to 50, it ended up giving me 4 more percent APY. So the reason I like to choose 50 grid levels rather than 100 is because it gives you that better APY. And then also, one of the things I like about these grid bots is that if you did need some cash and you didn't want to close out if you needed cash and you only had DCA bots, you would have to close out the entire bot, and potentially take the loss on, uh, if you just sell at a loss or whatever. But with this one, it's easier to take money out by canceling these grid lines. And what that does is it takes the dollars here and it puts it into your stable wallet so that you can use it as needed. And then you can also add it. And that's something that if you wanted me to do a more specific video on, I could do, or it's if you wanted to talk with the Bitscap support team, I'm sure they're more than happy to help walk you through that too. So, um, you know what I will do, and I have done because I have grid bots and I have DCA bots, is so I have a few grid bots. I have one on each exchange that I use. Um, and then, because unfortunately Gemini doesn't offer DCA bots yet for some reason. Get on that. But so I use a combination of the grid bots and the DCA bots. Oh, the other reason I like the grid bots, and I've mentioned this in other videos, is because you get more activity on this. So yeah, you're only making, in this case, 56 cents each time it sells. But when you log in each time and you look at the sum bot profit, it is nice to see that number go up. So if you just have all DCA bots, you could wait longer in between uh, um, times that you see this number climb. So hopefully that helps you find a good strategy for 2026, whether you think we are still in a bear market over the next few months or a year and expect it to go back down to that 70-ish range. You've got protection there. But if you are on the side of on my side and thinking that we're more likely to go up, having a tighter range um, here with your 3.5 to 4.5, it's going to give you a better return than that wider range. So hopefully that helps. If it did, give me a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite coin, leave it for me in the comments, and I will try to help you find the best settings for 2026 with that bot. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.